Welcome back, folks. MTG Joe here. Today we're doing another installment of the weekly meta breakdown where we look at the top performing MTG Arena decks for various formats. This video will be for the Alchemy Best of One, and we're going to slide in some Best of Three. There's not a lot of data for either format, so we're going to kind of combine it, try to scratch both those itches for the folks enjoying the Alchemy format with the Lord of the Rings cards. But if you're looking for standard, historic, explore, Best of One, Best of Three, we cover these weekly. So you can check out the playlist. It's really easy to kind of follow along and then see what like kind of the top tier decks are for each of the formats, top performing, everything of that nature. We kind of monitor trends each week. As always, we get the data from UntapGG, a companion tool that runs alongside Arena's client, tracks your win rates, aggregates it with other users, gives us a bunch of cool stats. I will paste all these deck lists for you, as well as add timestamps, so nice and easy to get all the information you need. So we will look at June 20th through to July 7th. Because Alchemy is not as popular of a format, there is fewer games played, so we do need to stretch it out. Now, normally I would look at a parameter a little bit higher in terms of like Diamond to Mythic, but again, in order for us to get a decent data set, we need to look at this. So we have 25,000 games played. So we will jump into it. Friendly reminder, as always, if you can, like, comment, subscribe on the video. They do help out the channel, so greatly appreciate it if you can. You'll see the ticker at the bottom left. We are trying to hit 10,000 subs on the channel. So really cool deck that is taking up the top spot right now. It is 5-color Legends, 67% win rate, and it's built a kind of a Joda Aragon pile. So Aragon the Uniter, I kept writing Unifier during early access, but this is a 4-color Legend, sans black, and this kind of rewards you for playing multi-colors in a variety of ways. So 4 mana for a 5/5. Whenever you cast a white spell, you get to create a 1/1 soldier. Whenever you cast a blue spell, you scry. Whenever you cast a red spell, you lightning bolt your opponent. And then whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets +4/4. So you're playing that in conjunction with Joda, which lets you cascade basically whenever you cast a legendary spell. And then it gives all your legendaries plus XX, where X is the number of legendaries you have. So it makes you a really big board, kind of spawns out of control. I apologize for the dog barking. As much as I'm trying to control for the next day or two, I'm doggy sitting, so they rule the house right now. So I'm tucked away, but they kind of bark from time to time. Delighted Halfling is the other addition to the deck. This lets us have a 1 mana kind of rainbow accelerant. So Turbo Llanowar Elf also prevents our spells from being countered, which is really nice. You have Hajar as well as Malira, which provide protection. You have Janira, which also provides a similar protection. A number of the creatures in the deck also incidentally happen to be humans, so you're able to use Secluded Courtyard to also assist with that. Single copy of Skrelv. 4 Terra Sunder is an interesting, so just a concession to all the ring decks. It's a nice clean 2-mana answer to ring, as well as a scalable 4-mana answer to everything else. Crucius helps you ramp, mana fixes. Gwenna is another 3-drop that allows you to go into turn 4 Joda, and then you have a Lagarella as a way to kind of exile and blink your effects. Ratadrabic lets, when your creatures die, you get value by getting copies of them. And then you have Dejuru and Hazaret, which when it attacks, you get to kind of free cast a legendary from the top 6 cards. Plaza Heroes in all the legend piles is kind of the clear best land in the deck. So from there, we go to Mono Red Aggro. So this is a deck that was hit by a number of nerfs, but still kind of putting up a fight. We have Kumano, which notably now no longer has haste when it flips over. The core of the deck is still very aggressively slanted. You have Tiefling Outcast, which creates copies of itself, at least for the first time with the double team, and makes your other imps very increased power, which also plays with the big spender. You have Molten Impacts, Lightning Strikes, bunch of burn. Ambergris lets you refill your hand, some Raijus and Squeeze, and then Dramatic Prank. This one's still showing the 3 mana, but this also got nerfed. It's 4 mana now. So it did take a little bit of a hit in terms of the deck. This was a deck I was very fond of. I helped popularize it last August. I hit #1 Mythic with it in August, and it's seen some iterations. I'm surprised this is still doing so well because a lot of these creatures just incidentally get hit by Orcish Bowmaster. So it does get hurt a little bit more. Plus, Shieldred was a pain, and now you're going Shieldred into Ring, which is even more of a pain itself. From there, we go to Rakdos Midrange. So this is our first iteration of a Ring deck. So Ring, very powerful, lets you fog for a turn, as well as then draw you a bunch of cards. You're combining that with like Shieldred for value. You have Orcish Bowmaster to punish other Ring decks, ping off your opponent's stuff. Bunch of removal with Go for the Throats, Abrades, and Shieldred's Edict. Crucius as a way to tutor. Fable, just 2 copies of the Blood Tithe Harvester. Now that you have Bowmasters. And then this is on the Invoke Chandra double cast plan. In the mana base, you'll also have access to Barad Dadur, which allows you to amass Orcs if a creature died. And then you have Mount Doom, which pings your opponent if needed for 3 mana. And then you could sacrifice, pay 7 mana, sacrifice the 1 ring as well as Mount Doom. And then choose 1 creature, or choose up to 2 creatures and then destroy the rest. So it's kind of a one-sided board wipe. Keep your best creatures and blow up your opponents. Then jump over to Azorius Control. Well, that live-changing meta stats. This one got a little bit better, but 64%. So this deck here is going to be kind of a heavy control deck that's using the Ring with conjunction of Union of the Third Path. This lets you draw a bunch of cards, get a bunch of life, kind of offset the life loss. You have Reprieve as kind of a tempo counter, a bunch of removal and Fragment Reality, Soul Partition, Divine Purge, sweeps up a lot of these low-to-the-ground creature-style decks. Oracle the Alpha lets you put Power 9 into your deck, Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk. Then you have Sauron's Trickery. Lets you, it's just your kind of 3-mana counterspell with some added effect. This one happens to mass an orc, so you get that's your win condition, a 1/1. Kind of joking, kind of not joking. You also have Gandalf the White that lets you flash in and then also lets you flash in the Ring on your opponent's turn. And then you have Kalim, which is your predominant win condition. You basically can get a 5/6, tap down your opponents through cycling. So it's kind of adjacent to like a Shark Typhoon where you never really have to tap out to cast the effect. Be interesting. I'd probably play a Myrex in this mana base. Just another free way. You could usually control the board, draw a bunch of cards. It's another way to kind of get some value out of your mana base. I'm just going to show this because it's been a popular strategy, but it's not very good. The mono black Wraith deck, the mono black Nazgul deck is not a very good deck. It's sub 50%. If you're playing it and you're having fun, all the power to you. I wouldn't play this deck if you're trying to actually compete on the ladder or like thinking of spending wild cards. It's just not performing well. So we're just going to skip that. It's more just a PSA. So these are best of 3 decks. So in terms of Alchemy, Grixis got 136 in July with the deck. And it is kind of the Grixis Control that we saw some elements of in Standard, but we have Bowmasters in here, Crucius, a couple copies of Urtai, plays really nicely with Shieldred and Bowmaster because you get additional pings. Siphon, since a lot of the matches in Best of 3, from what I'm hearing from folks, is it's like Rakdos-ish style midrange mirrors. This is a good way to basically cast your opponent's stuff. You have Flame of Anor, which is an answer to Shieldred, can draw you cards. The Urtai is a wizard, so you can get both those effects. Notably, this is Destroy Artifact, not Exile, so it does not hit the 1 ring. In the mana base, you have Graveyard Hate, Hand Hate, a variety of counters as appropriate, and then some added removal in the mix as well. Then we move over to Jund, so 77 Mythic in July as well. So this is kind of a more similar kind of mid-range. This is an Assemble the Parts Reanimator sub-theme. So you can use Delighted Halfling to ramp ahead, turn 2 Crucius or Jarsil, uncounterable, turn 3 Shieldred. What you want to ideally do is throw into your graveyard a copy of Hourglass Coven and then reanimate it. You get a bunch of value that way there. 1 ring, Fable the Mirrorbreaker is also ways to put things into the graveyard. Another Bowmaster in the side for Ring Mirrors. Will lets you gain control of target creature or artifact, so you can gain control of your opponent's 1 ring for value. Variety of different removal spells, hand hate options. Dreams of Steel and Oil is really nice because it does hit artifacts, so you can hit the 1 rings. Just variety removal and then graveyard hate as well. So that's a quick summary of the Alchemy format. I'm going to keep putting these out as long as folks keep watching the video. I kind of scaled back with Alchemy given the videos weren't doing very well. The one I put out last week had good viewership, so I will continue to put out this content for Alchemy at least. so long as there's the interest. So if you are enjoying it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your interest, and I can keep getting these out every week for you. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you have a great one, and stay safe out there.